What if you landed in Australia and you could not open a bank account or enroll your kids into school just because you forgot one document? Hello, how are you doing? Barnabas here. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back. This is day 11 of this series, Before You Fly. In this series, we talk about things that you need to prepare, things you need to do before you move to Australia. And in today's episode, we are talking about documents. What documents do you need to prepare before you move to Australia? And how important is that? You know, forgetting documents back home might really make your settling here in Australia very difficult. The first few days or few months, you really need to be organized and have all the documents that you need so that you can facilitate your settling here. And if you forgot any, then it can really make your settling very difficult. I know of someone who did not bring his Kenyan driver's license when he moved to Australia just because he was told that the public transport here in Australia works so well and he might not need that driver's license anyway. Unfortunately, when he came, he landed in a small city, and in that small town, the public transport was very unreliable. And soon he realized that every job that he applied for, they would require a driver's license and a car. And it was just by the grace of God that this person was able to get his driver's license that he forgot back home and was able to apply for jobs and settle down here in Australia. You really need to have all your documents ready when you move to Australia. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to talk about 6 categories of documents that you will need when you move to places like Australia. And the first category is personal or travel documents. And allow me to read so that I don't forget any. Under that category, there is passport. All right. So move to Australia with a valid passport, at least 1 year before expiry. This is important because you will soon realize that renewing your passport when you're in places like this is not very easy. You have to liaise with the consulate wherever it is. It's not instant, so it's not going to be easy to renew your passport. So if your passport is about to expire, please renew it before you move to places like this. So in my estimate, please move here with a passport that is at least 1 year before expiry. And you will also realize that every transaction that you will do here, you will be required to have a passport, all right? At least an ID. And passport is a primary ID, okay? So opening bank accounts, getting work, everything, you will need to have a primary ID, which is your passport. So come with at least 1 year valid passport, okay? Number 2 is your visa grant notification. When you're given a visa, you send a grant notification. Please, if you can print that and work with it, it will be required even at the point of entry at the airport. All right, they will want to see that visa. Okay, so it's not like you're going to have a stamp on your passport or anything. So you will need to carry that visa grant notification for you to be allowed in. Apart from the point of entry at the airport, you will also need that visa grant notification even to look for work. Okay, for you to get work, they will also want to know whether you are eligible to work. And so that visa grant notification will be important even when you're looking for work. So have it printed and have a soft copy somewhere so that you can present it wherever it is needed. You will need it in so many areas when you're settling here in Australia. So even when you're applying for your bank, when you're applying for work, when you're applying for a house, things like this, you will have to present your visa grant so that they can see that you are legally in Australia and also you're legally allowed to work. The next one in that category is your birth certificate. You will need that in so many areas, but more specifically for your kids. When they're applying for schools, they will have to present this as one of the primary documents. So do not forget to carry the birth certificate for yourself and even for your kids. It's going to be very important. The last one in that category is a valid driver's license. You will need this for work. You will need this as one of the primary documents when you land here as well. And so it's going to be very important. And most of the jobs that you will apply, your first jobs here, most of them you will be required to have a driver's license and a car. It's not going to be enough just to have a valid driver's license. Please, before you come to Australia, learn how to drive, all right? Exercise and get used to how to drive. so that when you come here and you buy a car, you will quickly learn how to drive, learn these roads, and be able to drive and take yourself to work. It's going to be very important. So have a valid driver's license, and on top of that, please learn how to drive. The second category is the family documents, all right? And under that category, I would mention things like marriage certificate. It's going to be very important for you when you're opening things like joint accounts, taking your kids to school. Family documents are going to be very important. Marriage certificate is one of them. The second one is birth certificate, and I've already mentioned for kids, admitting your kids in school, that is going to be primary. You must have birth certificate for your kids. And also you need to have school records, all right? School records here, reports for your kids and things like that. For them to be admitted, they want to be gauged on, what level they are academically. So they will need to have academic reports. So make sure you print those and bring them along. Also under that, we also have immunization records, and that's very important. All right, immunization reports are very important for your kids, not just for admission in schools, but also for health purposes, because for them to continue with the vaccination and to be able to standardize them for the levels that we have in Australia, then they will have to check what your kids have already had, what jabs your kids have already had. So it's going to be important to make sure you bring your health cards. You remember those cards, health cards that when you go for immunization, they report, they write down what your kids have already had. Make sure you bring those cards. I still remember mine. We used to have them, you fold them like this. They even measure your weight, and they put a graph and things like that. You have to bring that immunization card with you, especially for your kids. The third category is your academic and work credentials. So here we're talking about your degree certificates, your academic transcripts, professional license or membership, your updated CV or resume, your reference letters, and so on. You're going to need that, when you're looking for work. And please bring certified copies if you can, and also soft copies, so that when you're doing applications, you're just able to send them if they're required, okay? Imagine if you forgot to bring your academic certificates or your work references, and somebody has offered to give you a job, but they just need to check your academic or work reference and you don't have. You can imagine, having to again call back home for them to arrange to send them and things like that. It just gives you extra headache, which you can avoid by just bringing those documents together when you come. The next category is financial documents. All right, financial documents. Here we're talking about things like bank statements, and please bring bank statement, even back to 6 months ago. For those who are on visitors visa or even students, this is a must, because you have to show proof of financial capability. So bringing your financial records, your bank statements, is very, very important. Okay. And even for those who are here on permanent resident, coming on a permanent resident, it's also important to show that you're able to take care of yourself, at least for the time being before you get a job. Okay, so bringing your financial statements and your financial records is going to be very important. Also under this category, you're talking about things like credit references, if you have tax clearances from your country, so that they know that you are a law-abiding citizen. You do your tax returns and things like that. Next category is health-related documents. The first one is the immunization reports, which I've already explained that, especially for your kids, it's going to be important for school admission. For some social gatherings, you might even need that, and so it's going to be important to have that document. You also need things like medical history. For those who have certain prescription of medication, or you're continually taking some drugs, you will need to have a prescription or medical history, report of a medical history, so that when you come here, you're able to continue with that. They're able to assess the medical reports that you have from your previous doctor back home, and they're able to continue that or give you something in related to what you need. Also, you will need health insurance documents, especially for students or those who are visiting, things like that will be important to have health insurance documents. Other documents are things like police clearance. I know you need police clearance when you're applying for your visa, but after you get your visa, please bring it along. You might need it for a while before you get a police check here in Australia. Some tenants might need your previous rental records, even if it is overseas. So please, if you have any, bring it along. So it's important to bring those documents well arranged, and so you don't have to go back and forth, calling back home, asking people to send you documents and to look for documents. Now, things to note across the board that if you can, please get those documents certified. All right, get a certified copy of each of those documents. There are professionals who are allowed to certify copies of documents. For example, police, doctors, accountants, people work in the post office, and your pastors or religious leaders, and so on. So if you can, please get those documents certified. Bring copies of certified documents. Another thing that applies across the board, if you can, please have both physical copies and soft copies. And if you're not so organized, please make several copies. Just make several copies and put them in different places, so that you're able to, if you lose one, you can get another one. And last but not least, please make a checklist. Okay, make a checklist of documents that you're required to have, and please get them as you tick, and make sure they are all filed and you carry them nicely. In the next episode on this series, we're going to talk about culture shock. What are some of the culture shock when you move to Australia? I'll share some personal experiences and experiences of others about culture shock. Please, I want to kindly ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are doing very well, but please continue to subscribe and support me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, and other social media platforms. All right? And I'll see you in the next episode where we're going to talk about culture shock. All right, that's all I had for you today. Till next time, my name is Barnabas, the son of encouragement. Bye-bye and God bless you.